Hey guys, and welcome to another video in the How to Play Star Wars Legion playlist. This time is literally how to play Star Wars Legion. So this video is designed for people who have never played Star Wars Legion before, and I'm going to assume that you've never played a tabletop game in the first place, as that's the best way to really go about doing this kind of video. The map is pre-generated, so I haven't set this up. However, as you can see, it's a good starting point for a small game such as this, with a couple of units for both sides. Bigger games will be using the full size here. Actually, I think it's this size actually, but this is a good point. This is for games up to 500 points. So for your first set of games, until you have a good understanding of how the game works, a 3x3 playing area is always a good start. And you basically want a good mix of light cover, a bit of heavy cover, line of sight blocking like this cliff here, things like that. And basically you want it mirrored on both sides, because then both yourself and your opponents can have a good time. Before you can put your models on the table, you need to know who is going to be the blue player and the red player. The blue player is the person whose army list has the least amount of points. In this case, it is the rebels, which theirs comes to 394. So if you're buying the starter set today, tomorrow, next week, some of these points here in the blue boxes have changed because of what's called FAQs and erratas, which are there to help try and balance the game, make things more equal and fun since the game was first introduced. So some of these points have changed over the years. The best place to look is tabletopadmiral.com. There is the link to that. It will be in the description below. This mod, as far as Star Wars Legion on Tabletop Simulators is concerned, it automatically updates them, and that's the true set of points rather than what's printed on these cards. But I would still look at Tabletop Admiral. So the person who is the blue player, so in this case the rebels, has the choice to fight on their terms, as it were. So if I pull these out, these are the different cards which you can use to define the battlefield, what mission you're playing, and then any detriment bonuses, as it were, to your game, to your opponent, to yourself, whatever it may be. So the way to go about starting your game is dead simple. So when you start to define your battlefield, as it were, this is how you play, what missions you're doing, your deployment zones, things like that. You take all your cards and you shuffle them into 3 piles. All the blue cards, like this, have to be together. All the red ones, with the markers like this, have to be together. And all the green ones, like this, have to be together. You lay 3 out, like as shown here, and then starting with the blue player, you eliminate the card to the leftmost. So in this case, you have to eliminate one of these 3 cards before you can move on to the next column. Each player can either eliminate or pass up to twice total. So what this means is that, let's say, for discussion's sake, I am playing as the rebels. So I am blue player, break through here, but I can't, because I have to eliminate, recover the supplies, and hope that in this case the Empire will eliminate, intercept the transmissions. So if I go eliminate here, so in this particular mod, once it's done, it's done. But with your friends, you can do backsies and things like that. So now the red player can decide, well, I I'm happy, may turn around and say, well, I'm happy to, as this is. So he or they can say, pass, I am not going to eliminate, anything of that nature. And then that's their turn done, as it were, for when it comes to define the battlefield. Now, the blue player can then go again and say, well, I don't want to do intercept the transmissions. So eliminate. That's the end. So no matter what happens now, your mission is breakthrough. That's the end of that. But we can still decide on this. So the red player can go, well, I don't want rapid reinforcements. And then we can go, well, we don't want this, and that's it. So to make things simple, we are going to be doing clear conditions for this game, but limited visibility would have been the actual thing. So here we are. So your deployment zone is this. It is literally, if I grab Luke to be the puppet. So you have your measuring tool, and this is a really good way to know how far to measure. Every deployment card, so it was the red one, has its own deployment points, which you can see. But if I put Luke here, as you can see, it's a range 2 with your measuring tool. So that is how far you've got for your deployment stick, in this case, for this battlefield type. So starting with the blue player, you alternate putting around 1 unit at a time. So 1 unit will consist of, in this case, Luke Skywalker, or the entire unit here of Rebel troopers. That sort of idea. And you go back and forth. So let's say I want to put down the Rebel troopers with the Z6 rotary cannon. So we'll grab the unit, we'll put them like so. Now if I grab in this case their token, range, cohesion. So cohesion range is directly from the unit's leader. In this case, we can tell it's this guy because he has the cloak. So let's grab him. So he is the guy who has the cloak in this particular mod. How the model is in real life, I'm not 100% sure, but you should be able to easily tell who your leader is. So cohesion range is how far the rest of your models for that unit can be away from
small
him.
little edit here. So when you deploy, the entire units have to be within your deployment zone. So in this mod, we have the red line and we have the blue line deployment zones. That's literally just for the red player and the blue player respectively. So in this particular example here, as you can see, this unit is illegally deployed, i.e. this is not allowed simply because the base of both the unit leader and this guy are over the deployment line, whereas Darth Vader is well within his deployment zone. So we can go like this. He will still be he will legally be within the deployment zone, even though his hand is over the line, because you measure to and from the base itself, not the model. So this is legal, this is not. So when you deploy your unit, you grab your dudes, and let's say for discussion's sake we want to go like so. So now we have these 3 guys. So they have to be within, at all times, what is called coherency range. coherency range is speed 1 at all times. So if I went and put this stormtrooper here, as you can see, he is within speed 1 of the unit leader. And this is how it has to be all the way around, hence this bubble. So when you move your troops around, or your units, if it's a unit of more than 1, so we are talking about more so infantry and the like, and bikes like this, rather than actual vehicles like the ATST and stuff like that. So when we have infantry, as a good example, it must always be speed 1 at all times as a maximum away from the unit leader. So I could go and it'd be like this. So he is legally within the coherency range, but in this example, he is not within the deployment zone. So what we can do is go to that for now. We can grab this guy and we'll stick him here, flip this, and cohesion. So we can go like that. So because of the way Tabletop Simulator works, basically he's going to have his base tucked in just behind the heavy cover there, or the barricade, but you guys get the point. And we can go like this. So all of them are within the speed 1 of, in this case, the Stormtrooper leader. So as long as they are all within the coherency range at all times, this is perfectly fine. And this has to be like this at all times when you play your game. So let's say we're on turn 4 and we're all the way over here. We can still be over here, like so, getting heavy cover from the barricades, but as long as they are within speed 1 maximum away from this case the Stormtrooper leader, then that is perfectly okay. Once you're all deployed, and remember to have all your models inside the deployment line. Every deployment zone is going to be different. This is not the only deployment zone you have. The tokens here, so you can see what's what. I haven't bothered putting down the tokens for Luke Skywalker and the AT-RT along with Darth Vader and the speeder bikes, because if we don't know who they are by now, then that's just wrong. But trying to not mix up the stormtroopers and the rebel troopers, if they get close enough to each other, then that's where problems can happen. So when you start your game, in this case, as the red player, or as the blue player, you won't see your opponent's command cards here. As the blue player, you get to see your own with this particular mod, and that would work risky in real life as well. But when you're playing with your buddy, your friend, whoever, at your local club, to make life simple, and because you're both learning how the game works, just keep them flipped up, and then you can work together to help each other. Because unless if you're that way inclined to steamroll your opponents, which is fine if that's your thing, you're best off learning with your friends in a casual environment so you can help each other out. So then you're happy, they're happy, and you have a great time playing the game. So, as a quick overview of these command cards, you have the name, you have the pips, which is the equivalent to like an initiative sort of idea. Your picture for each of these. This one, standing orders, push, and assault are generic for all factions. And then, as I said before, we have My Ally is the Force, Son of Skywalker, and Return of the Jedi are Luke Skywalker specific. So if he is not in your army list, you do not get these cards. It's as simple as that. So, at the start of every turn, you nominate a commanding unit. So, in this particular starter set, your commanding units will be Luke Skywalker when you're playing the Rebels, and Darth Vader when you're playing the Empire. So keep things simple and flowing. Let's go with, for the Rebels,
assault. So both of you pull out one of your command cards. So I've put the assault card here for the rebels over there, and then your buddy who is playing the Empire, this is simultaneously when you choose your command cards, will look through their cards and go, well, what do I do? What do I need to do? And usually your first turn will be either assault or standing orders or push or something like that to get your guys moving. Let's say for the video's sake that the Empire has decided to use standing orders. So this card is a 4 pip card, whereas this is a 3 pip card. Standing orders only affects 1 unit. However, the difference between standing orders and assault, or rather standing orders and any other command card, is standing orders can be used multiple times. Command cards are normally 1 use only. There are several other cards which allow you to return the cards back to your hand, your command deck. In this particular case with the mod here, but wherever you want to keep these cards in real life, whether it's on the edge of your table, on the side, however you want to do it, this is your command card deck. So standing orders is one of the few unique cards that allows you to put this card back into that deck. Assault and the majority of all other command cards are 1 use only. So it's really important to know this. Now, the player with the lowest amount of pips for that turn gets initiative, as it were, gets priority, gets to go first. So what they do is they act out what says here. So in this case, assault 3 units, and standing orders is 1 unit. So we'll take this card, and it doesn't matter anymore. So we have 3 units. So this is where these come involved. So we have the commander icon, we have the corps units, and we have the support unit, these icons. And these matches up to what is shown on the cards, as I mentioned earlier. These tokens will match up to your units. The icons here on the cards, such as on this ATRT and these rebel troopers, and in this case the commander icon here, will match up to what is here on these tokens. So the commander, in this case Luke Skywalker, but it could also be Han Solo, could also be Darth Vader, General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, whoever is a commander on their card will have this icon. Same applies to the corps, so your regular troopers, as it were, your infantrymen, your nobodies, as it were. Your operatives will be this icon. Support is this one. You have special ops, so your special forces is this icon, and heavies such as tanks and the like will be here, will be this icon. And these icons will be on all the cards that are relevant to them, no matter what faction they belong to. So you always know, no matter what faction you play, whether it's the droids, the clones, the Empire, the rebels, they will all belong to some classification of this nature. So 3 units for assault, which you get to choose, and it doesn't say infantry or support or whatever. Some cards will, some cards won't. Cards like assault just say 3 units, so it could be, in this case, with your 4 units, any 3 units of your choice. So how you issue orders is through the actual tokens themselves, the commanders, the corps, the special forces, those kind of tokens. Not necessarily those categories, but those face-up order tokens. As we showed earlier, there was assault and standing orders. So when you
issue an order, it comes from either your commander and slash or an operative. So it's important to, so in your first set of games, you're going to make mistakes, that's fine. So we have Darth Vader both as a commander and as a operative, but we have him as a commander in this video, so he himself does not provide anything commander based that will actually benefit us. So if you do decide to expand out into other stuff, into other expansion packs and whatnot for the Empire, for the Rebels, for the Republic, and the actual droids, then a generic officery type person will be fantastic for you. So the Imperial officer is really good. The Rebel officer, the generic clone commander, and the T series tactical droid, those are basically all the same in that they actually provide some general benefit to you. Now, that's not to say that Darth Vader is crap. He's actually pretty good if you use him right. You can use other characters. I personally prefer General Veers, as this personally works well for me. But suffice to say, when you issue orders, it is range 1 to 3. So you can issue your orders up to range 3 from him. So I personally prefer General Veers only because it makes my life just that little bit easier when I play the Empire. In this case, the Imperials don't have a operative that can do the same sort of thing that I personally want to do with, in this case, General Veers. But you can do this with an Imperial officer and Director Orson Krennic, who came, in this particular case, came from Rogue One. So you go away. So what I like to do is aggressive tactics. So when you issue your order tokens, which if we spawn this, and let's go with commanding presence as well to make life easier. So we'll spawn. So we have our standing orders card here, and we have General Veers and just 4 generic stormtroopers who have no upgrades. So what I'll do, I'll grab these, and then your nominated commander is basically the person that you want to be issuing orders with all the time. So if you have one commander, in this case General Veers, then he's going to be the nominated commander all the time. That's the bottom line. If you have multiple commanders, such as, let's say, Darth Vader and Veers, or any combination that you have in your collection, then ideally you want to be telling your opponent who is the nominated commander each turn, rather each battle round. If you're like me and just have your favorite character, or you just know who you want to have your nominated commander, then you can say at the start of the game, just let you know General Veers or Darth Vader or whoever is going to be my nominated commander for the entire game unless I say otherwise. You're sorted. So we issue an order to 1 unit. So that goes away. So we issue this is a face-up order token, and it comes directly from this card. Any order tokens like this that come from any other means is not an order. It has to come directly from this card, from a command card, whether it's standing orders or push or assault or a personalized card to General Veers or to Darth Vader or to a named hero. That's the point. So what we can do is we issue the order from General Veers. So this is where this particular one comes from. So you get on there, you 4 get on there. So you can issue orders up to range 3. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to have a range tool for when you use to measure the range from weapons. When you shoot, use that same tool because it is identical for what you want. So you can issue orders up to units, say like here, you don't need line of sight. If your troops are over range 3, you can't issue orders to them, unless if you have a card such as Commanding Presence, which does say you can issue orders at range 4. Now that only applies to him, to the commander, or rather to the model that you have, or the unit in this case, that you have upgraded it with, i.e. you've given Commanding Presence to General Veers, to the generic Imperial Officer, to whoever. Now, if you get aggressive tactics, and I believe this comes in from one of the expansion packs, the generic expansion packs, rather than a Stormtrooper expansion pack sort of idea. When you issue orders, you can gain a surge token, which can be used to aid in both offense and defense. So if we grab my Stormtroopers and we put them back here, because he is the nominated commander and he has aggressive tactics, you can go, or first we'll give you rather this token. So this is the face-up order token, and because you've given them a face-up order token, and because I have on General Veer's aggressive tactics, you can now have a surge token. So all this is literally me showing you guys at home who is the nominated commander, how you issue your orders, and what you can do to benefit your troops. So as a recap, you don't need General Veers in your list as a must. I personally prefer him in my list because it makes my life easier, but if you guys want to go down the route of having Darth Vader or whoever for your Imperial list, if you want to have Luke Skywalker or Lando Calrissian or Han Solo for the Rebels, or if you want General Grievous and Count Dooku in your droid list, or if you want Anakin Skywalker and Rex or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or whatever combination you want for any of your armies, then personally having a commander who can take aggressive tactics in some fashion is going to be really, really handy. This is an optional upgrade card which you can get. I personally use it all the damn time. Commanding Presence is a handy card. One, especially if you're starting out brand new, it's a card that you kind of want to take just so you get until you realize, or if it works for you, that you don't need it, then you don't have to take it. But it's a good card to have anyway in your deck of cards that you can add to your units. So when it becomes your turn, so in this case we use standing orders, and the Rebels did use push, which is a 3-pick card. So they do their thing, yada yada yada. It comes to you, so it's your turn, because you activate your units back and forth. You can go activate and then do your thing with a surge token. When you have more units to play with, where you can buy another starter set or buy additional units, so more heroes, more troopers, you'll have you can use a dice bag or something of that nature and put your tokens into it. So the idea is that you have two options. You can either draw a unit from your stack, which is a random unit. You don't know which one you're using, or you use ones that you do know, such as these that we've got here. So you can go there. The other card that was used for, as this is all simultaneously in the command phase for the Empire, was standing orders, which was 1 unit.
Okay, guys, so a
most important thing you need to know is for purposes of this demonstration is that the veterans and the fleet troopers have been upgraded with an extra body, then an extra man in the squad, and there's also an extra dude with a special weapon. So let's say, for discussion's sake, it is the Rebels' turn. So let's go with the veterans which are in the crater over here. So when you shoot, it's important to check weapon range and line of sight from each model. So in real life, you can get down to their level, and what constitutes as what you can see is what is on the physical base. So if I come up to bird's eye here, as you can see on these two dudes here, we go right above, the end of their gun hangs over the base. That bit here you cannot shoot at. So what is physically on the base, like this, you can only shoot at. So legs, shoulders, head, what have you. Anything that hangs over, like a hand on Darth Vader, you can't shoot his hand because it's illegal. You need to shoot his base in a basic nutshell. So the other important thing to note is that models with the same weapon type can shoot the same unit. So by this I mean, with the Rebel veterans over here, they have the DH-17 blaster pistol. So troopers, veterans, rather, the A280 blaster rifles. And this guy is part of this squad because he's just another veteran, which this unit is. So he himself will have a blaster rifle. We'll move on to him in a few moments. So the important thing to note is that they all have the blaster rifle, and it has a minimum and a maximum range. So in this case, they can fire between range 1 to range 3. So by that, when you get your measuring tool for your weapon range, so in this case, the Star Wars Legion mod tells you what each weapon range is, but you'll have your measuring tool in your starter set, which will tell you what it is. So range 1 is up to here, so it is literally this. So when it has a minimum range of this nature, that's the minimum it can shoot at. Some weapons have a minimum range of 2 or 3. Some have infinite range, so they have a minimum range, but they can shoot, let's say, assuming line of sight and whatnot, from this corner of the table to that corner of the table if they really wanted to. So that's weapon range. So you'll need to check if your target is within weapon range. So we're going to shoot at Darth Vader with the A280, the A280 blaster rifles. So this is per dude in the squad. So we have 4 normal guys with a black die when they shoot their blaster rifle, plus another Rebel veteran to make 5 guys. So you roll 5 black dice. Now, when we have an upgrade card of this nature, so not necessarily this particular card, but a upgrade card that adds another dude with a special weapon to the squad, he or she, although quite frankly it's usually going to be men in this game for whatever reason, they can split fire. Normally this is not allowed, so all the models with the A280 blaster rifles have to shoot the same target. Because he has a different weapon, he is allowed to split fire and shoot a different unit. So we could, if we really wanted to, with, as happens, this guy, to shoot these stormtroopers here. So we shall actually go and do so to demonstrate cover. So when you roll your dice, you grab your dice, you'll have some in your starter set. You literally pick them up and then you just physically roll them across the table, hopefully not knocking scenery in your buddy's nicely painted models. So when you roll them, you are generally looking for this, which is absolutely excellent in all honesty. So you have critical hits, regular hits, surge to hit. You only get these 3 on these kind of dice, the D8s. You have block and surge to block on your defense dice, which are D6. You can buy a separate pack for this in your separate upgrade pack, as it were, for dice for this game. So we have 4 hits and 1 crit. Crits don't mean anything in this particular case, but what crits do mean, just in case if we don't get any on for this guy, is they go through cover, and light cover ignores 1 hit. Heavy cover, like these barricades, ignore 2 hits. Crits pass right through cover, and the defending unit on the other side will have to suck it up. So normally, Darth Vader is the exception in this particular example, but normally when you shoot a unit, they take a suppression if they are regular troopers, like these stormtroopers. You can find this under the picture, in this case stormtrooper, but you'll always find the unit type under the photo on the right hand side of the card. The yellow number here is their leadership, their morale, their break value, whatever it is you want to call it. The green, as always, is their health. Darth Vader has a dash, which means that he is immune to leadership, i.e. he's immune to fear. So what this means is, when you get shot, you take a suppression token. It always goes on the unit leader. So in this case, when we shoot them, if this squad is hit, then he takes the suppression token. I personally find it's handy just to put it, say, like at the back of the squad or whatever. So we've hit him a bunch of times, and then the defending unit, in this case Darth Vader, has to roll defense dice, which in this case is red. So we shall roll 1 red die per hit or crit that we got, or surge to hit in this case. So we got 4 hits and 1 crit, so we shall roll 5 red dice because 5 red dice, defense dice, sorry, because he has a red defense die icon here. So we shall roll these. So he ignores 1 and he ignores 2. So this is really what you want to see. These mean blanks, i.e. he failed to stop the hits. Darth Vader, as well as a bunch of other lightsaber wielding nutters, have special rules like deflect and immune to pierce and stuff like that. But that will be covered in their own particular guide for heroes, whether it's rebels or Imperial Guard, the Empire, or the Republic, that sort of thing. So he takes 3 wounds out of the 5 defense dice he rolled. So you apply wound markers, which look like this, and you count up in this game. I personally prefer to count down, but Star Wars Legion is based on counting up the amount of wounds that you've had or you've taken, rather than how many wounds you have suffered before you die. So that's worth to note. And then that's that. So we did say that this guy was going to shoot these guys because he has a separate weapon. So we will do this, and then we shall roll 4 white dice because that is what he has. So we shall go over here. So we have our 4 white dice, and we shall roll these. So this is absolutely god awful, but this does actually provide a good example of what I was referring to. And so, as I said earlier, cover comes in 2 states. Light cover, which is, say, like, an example would be this moisture evaporator, and heavy cover as well, which a good example is these barricades. So, because we are shooting over these barricades, as provided by, in this case, the mod shows us the red lines, but you can easily find this looking at the silhouettes. So, if half of your squad, as a minimum, is behind heavy cover as the defending unit, then you get cover. In this case, heavy cover, but if we had half the squad behind light cover, or in it, as the case is here, then you get light cover. So, regardless whether you take any wounds or not, you still take a suppression token. So as said, that goes onto the leader. I personally first put it at the back of the squad. So heavy cover ignores 2 hits. So I'll take this one and this one as a demonstration. So cover won't stop critical hits. It will stop regular hits, which is this one. So if we rolled these 3 hits, these 2 would count as blanks. Basically, in a nutshell, that's the general concept of it. There's not much to it other than just that. Now, when we have special rules such as this, like critical 2 on this particular weapon, while converting attack surges change up to 2 surge to hit results into critical results. So what this means in this particular weapon, and some weapons do have special rules. So if we get a surge like this, what it means is that up to 2 of these, so you can have a maximum of 2 surges turned into critical hits, which look like this. The squad as a basic thing has surge to hit and surge to block. So if we had 3 surges in this example, the weapon that we just fired would do this. 2 crits instead of this symbol, and then this unit would go and make it like this. One final thing is that if you so wish to fire the entire squad, so all of its special weapons, at one target, you can do so. That is perfectly legal. What you do is you roll the entire pool together. So 5 black dice in this case and 4 white dice. When you roll all these 9 dice together, you get the entire weapons bonuses together. So if, say, these blaster rifles had critical 1 as a example, and then this weapon has critical 2, you roll all 9 dice together, and if you had 3 surges when you roll to hit, then you can turn those 3 surges, into critical hits. Any more surges, so the 4th surge, if you roll 1, can be a hit because we have surge to hit here, and this is on the Rebel Veterans. So that is literally shooting in its finest. When you do actions, so as I said before, movement is an action. Movement is an action. You can do any actions in any form you want. So you can take an aim, which allows you to reroll up to 2 hit dice. So let's say, as it was, I did get, not that. So if you had an aim token, before we shoot, of course, we had 2 blanks. We can re-roll these again. It's one of the few ways you can re-roll to hit dice like that. An aim token looks like this. You can dodge as well if you want to, and it looks like this. Dodge tokens, you can expend them whenever you like when that unit gets shot at. And all it means is that, let's say, we have 4 hits from the stormtroopers here. There's some cover, so we ignore 1, and then we have 3 hits to deal with, hence 3 white dice. So we have 3 hits coming in. We take a suppression token, and we shall take clone that, which is that. What we then do is we spend the dodge token, like so, and it makes that happen. Each dodge token you spend reduces 1 dice one more die you have to roll, and then you hope you keep some guys alive. That's what dodge does. Standby is a Overwatch, a reactionary sort of thing, up to weapon range 2. So if I put out the weapon range, if we had these guys on standby, you can shoot up to this range here. You can find this out yourself with your measuring tool that you would have had in your starter box. So you can aim and shoot, you can shoot and move, you can move and shoot, move and aim, dodge and move and dodge, standby and move and standby, aim and dodge if you really want to. Although for most, like 99% of the situations you ever come in, that will never be of any use to you, but there we go. Or you can dodge and standby, that sort of idea. So you can mix and match how you want. You can move up to 2 times in your turn for that unit's activation, and you can only do 1 aim or one aim, 1 dodge, and 1 standby to a maximum of 2 of these in any combination once. So you can't have 2 aim tokens like this. That is not allowed. That is illegal from this sort of idea. There are cards that allow you to get multiple aim tokens, or some actions from unit abilities that allow you to get multiple aim tokens from your own personal activation from this. But that is okay. That is legal. So with the rebel officer, his action is take cover. So that gives a dodge token. So what this means is, let's say, get rid of that. So let's say we did dodge first and then shoot. What this rebel officer can do is, his first action is he can get a dodge and hand it off to this squad. That is perfectly legal. Even though they themselves did a dodge, they are still allowed to have a second dodge or more from stuff like this. And then he himself can aim, or he can dodge himself because he hasn't done a dodge action. He did the take cover action. So Star Wars Legion is a very, very explicit game. If it says what it says, that's the end of it. And because of that, there is very, very little, if any, FAQs or erratas to the game itself. If there is, when they do pop up on a rare occasion, it's all about just trying to balance the game just that little bit more, not about trying to swing the game differently like other games such as Warhammer 40k. Alright guys, so we're moving on to how morale works in this game, so leadership by another term if you so wish. So at the end of every turn, you collect all your aim tokens, your dodge tokens that you haven't spent, your standby tokens as well that you also haven't spent, and you return them back to their pool. So in this case, in the Star Wars Legion mod, they go back here, but wherever you keep them, at home, when you play, at tournaments, with your gaming buddies, at your local club, at your shop, your friendly local gaming store, you put them back into their pool. Now, suppression also goes back as well, but only 1. So when you hit the end of turn 1, so after every unit has activated on both sides, what you do, so in this case, you hit, so return tokens in this case go back to where they belong in the pool, as I said. So aim, dodge, standby, and any other command tokens of that nature. And you also remove 1 suppression token from each suppression stack on the battlefield. So I have 1 suppression token here on these rebel troopers, and we've got 2 on these troopers. They're both pretty much armed the same, but point is they have 1 suppression token here and 2 there. So in this case, we'll hit the button, to go to turn 2, with this counter, you'll get in your starter pack, your starter box. We'll hit that. Now, as you can see, the 1 token that was over here is gone, and then the 2 is now gone down to 1. That is every single turn. So we start handing out all these order tokens again, back to how it was initially, picking order these command cards, and then nominating commander, so Darth Vader in our case, and Luke Skywalker for the Rebel Scum. And you go back and forth, putting down your order tokens as previously shown. Now, for the purposes of this demonstration, for this video here, we'll go with this guy, this unit. So we'll try and activate here. So it's important to note that their leadership is 1, which is the yellow number here. Darth Vader has a dash, and then so do the Stormtroopers. The Rebels over here have 1 as well, and Luke Skywalker has 3. So right now they have 1 suppression token, so they roll before they activate. Over here they roll 1 die. If it's a blank like this, they keep their suppression. If it's a surge icon like this, or a block like this, then they lose that suppression token. As you can see from the list here in the very handy guide that's provided by the mod, so right down here, bullet point 4, if a trooper unit ever has a number of suppression tokens assigned to it that is equal to or greater than its unit's courage value, which is that yellow number, then it is suppressed. So with the Stormtroopers and the Rebel Troopers, their courage value was 1. Luke Skywalker had 3, and Darth Vader had a dash. What the dash means, we'll come to in a few moments. Immediately after the rally step, so after we've done our roll with the white die as shown, if a unit is suppressed, it loses 1 of its 2 actions for that activation. So with our guinea pigs here, if they fail to lose their suppression token, which they did, they can only do 1 action rather than 2. So they can only move once, or they can aim, or they can dodge, or they can stand by. That's it. They can't move and shoot. They can't shoot and dodge, or they can't aim then shoot. They can only move or shoot or aim or dodge or stand by. That's literally how it is. And for units like Luke Skywalker, or rather heroes who have multiple suppression tokens, so not Darth Vader, they can have, at least in his case, he can have up to 3 suppression tokens before he loses a potential action. Even if Luke Skywalker has 2 of these, or even just 1 of these suppression tokens, he still has to roll for suppression. So it is important to go and do like so. Even if it makes no difference at this point, he does have the chance to remove a suppression token, if not 2, which then does make a difference. So it's always worth to do this. If immediately after the rally step, if he has number of suppression tokens that is equal to or greater than twice its courage value, it is panicked. So if the Stormtroopers or the Rebel Troopers have 2 or more suppression tokens, then they panic. They can't do any free actions, and they have to move at its maximum speed once directly away towards the nearest board edge. So for actions, free actions will be a separate video, so stay tuned for that. If the unit leader, who you always measure your movement from, his base is over the battlefield edge, then the unit is defeated, as in you take that unit off the table and that's the end. If a friendly allied commander is in range, such as Darth Vader or whoever, you can use their leadership instead. No matter if you score a hit or crit and the cover removes it, as long as you get that initial hit, the defender gains a suppression token. One other final thing is that units like Darth Vader, who basically don't give a shit about leadership, they still get suppressed, and they still have to roll for this, they're removing suppression. So he could have 10 suppression tokens, he could roll, and he would lose 3, taking him down to 7. He just doesn't care because he's literally a beast, quite frankly. But there we go. Vehicles don't take suppression tokens, they take damage instead through critical hits and the like. A separate video on that will be out as well, so stay tuned for that. So normally when you take suppression, your cover is increased by 1 per level of cover that you have. So if you're in open ground and you have 1 suppression token, then you count as being in light cover. If you're in open ground and you have 2 suppression tokens, then you count as being in heavy cover. If you are in light cover and take 1 suppression token, then you count as being in heavy cover. If you are in light cover and take 2 suppression tokens, then you count as being in heavy cover. Likewise, if you're in heavy cover and you can take all the suppression tokens in the world, you still count as being in heavy cover. So it's kind of handy because it helps keep your troops alive, because they are trying to keep their own heads on their shoulders, staying low to the ground, taking cover where they can. Droids, they don't get that cover bonus part of being that is afforded to 2 units through suppression. Droid troopers cannot be suppressed, although they can still take suppression tokens as normal and still panic. Droid troopers can't get or resolve poison tokens. That will be definitely a separate video for that. And when droids get hit by ion weapons, then they can take the same effects as that. That will be a separate video as well. So that is Courage in a nutshell. There are several characters and upgrade cards which allow you to remove a set amount of suppression tokens in exchange for rolling dice. If a upgrade card says remove 2 suppression tokens, and say you have 4 as an example, 3, 4. So we only have 6. So let's say we have 6 suppression tokens on Luke Skywalker, and normally we'd roll all 6 dice. If there's an upgrade card that says remove 2 suppression tokens, you do not roll any of these dice. You lose 2 suppression, and that's it. So you need to weigh up if it's worth using that sort of ability on your friendly units. Don't forget that abilities like this are always optional. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. But once you do use them, you need to use them to the full effect, partly because that's what you're using them for, but some are more situational than they are led to believe. So it's just always worth just thinking about how you can make use of these kind of upgrades. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our How to Play Star Wars Legion guide. Next video will be based on vehicles, so how vehicles work, how to deal with them if they pop up in your games, and how best really to use them, I suppose. So thank you very much guys for watching. If you like this video, then please hit like, please hit subscribe. It really does help me out as well as the channel. And down below in the description there is 2 links, or a bunch of links rather, I'd definitely love for you to check out. Number 1 is Tabletop Admiral. That is my preferred army builder. It's so easy to use. It's freebies. I've got nothing to do with it. I just love it a lot, and the guy or the guys who run it, it's so fantastic. throw him some coffee money through Patreon if you really want to, but it's so good. It really is. Also, there is a couple of links below to a really good store here in Birmingham, UK, who he does between 10 to 20% discount on all Games Workshop products, and he might be able to do discounts on other brands of games. So in this case, Fantasy Flight Games with Star Wars Legion. Check him out. He's got his own store. He's got a YouTube channel, Too Many Little Men. Link to his thing is below. If you want your armies painted to a absolutely cracking level, check out Inside Out Miniature Painting. A link to his Facebook page is down below. Message him for a quote to tell him what you want, and he will get back to you within 24 hours. His work is absolutely stellar. He doesn't hide anything. He puts all of his commission work and his own painting that he does for himself on his Facebook page. It's absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend his painting services. Once again, he is in Birmingham, UK. So yeah, just have a look. His work is absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.